Begin tonight with a full-on crisis in our democracy.
Dear Americans, I have news for you. You do not live in a democracy. You live in the illusion of a democracy. This is your favorite half Chinese. And let me explain this. When was the last time that your government did something for you which is literally tangible, which you can still see today? Don't come to me with a tax break, because those are not. Because the corporations are getting a bigger tax break, which is essentially coming out of your pocket. That is also giving you the illusion of giving you something, while you have to pay back double. So these things are not something that you get from the government. When did they really do something for you? Did America become safer or unsafer? And do the people want to have a safer environment, or do they want to have an unsafer environment? Because if the two don't match to what the people want, then you don't have a democracy. So did the average American get more poor or get more rich? And do the average American want to get more rich or more poor? And if those two are not the same, then you don't live in a democracy, because the government has failed to provide to you what the will of the people is. So, do you want to have a safe environment for your kids to go to school? And did the government deliver that to you? So if they didn't, then you don't live in a democracy. How about healthcare? And so we can go on and on and on about infrastructure, jobs, and all these kind of things. Did they ever do anything for you? That is the question that all Americans should ask, and also the people living in Europe, especially in Western Europe from the NATO states. Because me living in Europe, I can also not say a single thing that my government ever has done for the people in my entire existence. And that's a very long time. I hate to say it, but it is. You do not live in a democracy. Yes, you can vote. But does your vote matter? Your vote doesn't even matter. When Trump was voted for in 2016, he lost the popular vote by about 3 million, I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But he lost the popular vote. And from who is the popular vote? That's from all of you Americans, right? So how come that he became a president and not Hillary? Not that I'm for Hillary, neither I'm for Trump. I hate them both. They're both just very, very bad actors. But to be honest, in a democracy, it should be Hillary that have won. She should have gone into the White House because she won the vote of the people. But somehow Trump got into the White House. That's just the weirdest thing that happened, right? And we had the similar situation with Bush. So there was also one also before, right? So you can vote, but it really doesn't matter anything. You have no way in, nothing to weigh in. And the rest, your constitution doesn't even protect democracy. In fact, the word democracy and democratic isn't even in your constitution. So why do Americans still think that they live in a democracy? And why is your government constantly yapping about needing to protect the democracy in the rest of the world? That's why we need to go to war with all these nations, while they do not even protect the democracy in their own nation. Just think of it. When was the last time that the government consulted any American, the average Joe and Jane, so to say? When was that? Can you even change a law over there? You cannot, right? So your vote is totally useless. That is why I say you live in an illusion of democracy. That's not a democracy. That's a tyranny with a bad movie playing to fool you. You're being programmed to think that you live in a freedom and that you live in democracy, but you have not. You own nothing. Because if you cannot work, your house will be taken because you cannot pay your property tax. You just have nothing. All you have is your body that needs to slave away for the big corporations, because if you don't, you will lose everything and end up on Skid Row. And that's the honest truth, isn't it? And this same situation is exactly what we are creating here in Europe, because we want that American model so bad. But it's not good for the majority of the people. It's only good for the capitalist. And now we've come to the capitalist. Who is the real owner in the United States? what your government is doing, accepting money from corporations, is in most other countries considered as bribing. If you do that in China, you can get the death penalty. But in the United States, you are being cheered on. Everybody was so happy that Elon Musk gave 120 million or 200 million to Trump. Nobody was upset. They say, yeah, yeah. It's literally bribing a president in front of you. What is it that you don't understand? And now he's getting that money back because his wages are being paid by you guys. Wake up! You do not live in a democracy. You live under a tyranny. You are not free. You are a slave of the corporations. Because you tell me, any American, can you go just quit your job at any time you want and still rely on the home that you bought? Or do you have to scratch your head and think, my God, the property tax, how am I going to pay that? And then what will happen? They will take your home away. Any normal worker with a minimum wage, can they just walk into the hospital and, have their body checked and everything and go home like nothing is going on? Or do they go home sick in their head because they don't know how to pay that bill? Is that the freedom? Is that the democracy? Is that really what the Americans want? Because I bet my life on it that the Americans want to have a safe countries. I want to bet my life on it that the Americans want to have less criminality. I bet my life on it that Americans do not want war all over the world in their name with their servicemen. I bet my life on it that the Americans want to have better infrastructure. Right? I bet my life on it that, did I already say safety? But I can continue on. And did the government deliver that to you? Because if they didn't, then they're not listening to you. And if they're not listening to you, then they're not working for you. And democracy is by the people, for the people. But your form of system is by the capitalist, for the capitalist. When the people are suffering from a natural disaster, what are they getting when their home is totally torn up? $750. So they can buy a couple of hamburgers of 20 bucks a piece. What do the banks get when they gamble on the wrong shares that they are doing? And they're losing billions and create a crisis in the United States. What do the bankers get? Those capitalists, what do they get? They get hundreds of billions to bail out. And who's giving them that money? That's you Americans. But I bet my life on it that most Americans will say, the overly vast majority will say, hey, I think that the people who suffer from a natural disaster in our country should get the billions to get their life back in shape. And I think that the capitalists that are gambling on the stock market and losing it because they're reckless should go broke and should not get our money that we work hard for. But it is the other way around. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. But let me hear in the comment section, dear Americans, how you feel about it. I hope you get my drift. This was your favorite half Chinese. Please like, share, and if you have not yet, then follow. And as always, have a great day. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube. I love you all.